Hi, good day everyone. And we are going to discuss global market entry strategies, that is exporting, FDI, joint venture, and franchising using the Jollibee model under FCC Ludus Litterarius channel. Foreign exporting, foreign direct investment, joint venture, and franchising, a Philippine perspective with Jollibee as model. In an increasing interconnected world, firms from developing nations like the Philippines must identify the most strategic pathways to enter foreign markets. The four major modes are widely recognized. That is exporting, foreign direct investment or FDI, joint venture or JV, and franchising. This lecture will deeply analyze each mode using Bloom's taxonomy framework from knowledge to evaluation, SWOT analysis, real-world Philippine application, and Jollibee's global entry strategy. Let's go to exporting. Okay, remembering, define exporting as selling locally produced goods to foreign buyers. Understanding, explain how Philippine firm ships products abroad, example, tuna, mangoes, and electronics. Then let's apply. Apply exporting decisions to Philippine SMEs wanting quick international exposure. Then let's analyze, examine logistics, tariff, and foreign consumer preference. Evaluating, assess whether exporting is sustainable given shipping costs and competition. Next is creating. Design a global export plan for a Filipino firm entering ASEAN or Middle East markets. So using this, for example, Davao mangoes is exported to Japan. Using the framework, it will help you guide in understanding why exporting Davao mangoes is a good path to entering the Japan market. Now let's go to a SWOT analysis of exporting. What is the strength? Number one is low capital requirement, fast market entry, and minimal risk exposure. Now, what's the weakness? High shipping and logistic cost, limited control over branding abroad, vulnerable to tariff and non-tariff barriers. That's the weakness. Opportunities, growing Filipino diaspora, meaning a lot of Filipinos are already all over the world. Demand for Philippine organic products. And the threat is exchange rate fluctuation and strong global competition. This is the threat for exporting. Next is applying this to Philippine context. The Philippines export bananas, electronics, coconut products, and processed foods globally. Exporting is often the first step for Filipino companies due to low investment risk. How Jollibee uses exporting? Jollibee exports sauces, marinades, frozen chicken joy, breaded patties to ensure product authenticity in stores overseas. Exporting allows Jollibee to maintain taste consistency across the Middle East, North America, and Asia. Now let's go now to foreign direct investment or FDI. Okay, let's use Bloom's taxonomy's application. Remembering, identify FDI as, okay, this is the meaning, establishing full ownership of foreign operation. Understanding, describe how Philippine multinationals invest abroad, example, PLDT or ICTSI, International Court Terminal. Then apply, evaluate the validity of setting up a wholly owned Jollibee branch in the United States. Analyze, study how cost country policies, economic stability, and labor laws. Evaluate, compare FDI performance versus franchising. And create, formulates financial feasibility study for a fully owned Jollibee outlets abroad. So this is the framework in order for you to understand FDI. Okay. Now, what is the SWOT analysis, using SWOT analysis of foreign direct investment as a mode of entry? What is the strength? Number one is full control over operation, strong brand presence, and long-term market dominance. What is the weakness of this? Very high capital investment, high political and economic risk, complex compliance requirements. Now, what is the opportunities? Strong Filipino communities abroad, untapped international markets. And what is the threat? Regulatory changes and rising labor costs. Let's apply this to Philippine context. As the Philippines gradually strengthened its outward investment, companies like ICTSI or the Port International Container Port and Jollibee Food Corporation have used FDI to create own outlets abroad. How Jollibee uses FDI? Jollibee established wholly owned branches in Vietnam, Guam, and the US mainland, selected branches. FDI allows Jollibee to enhance quality control, supervise staff training, and manage supply chains directly. Again, let's emphasize quality control because some franchisees, when they get the franchise from the franchisor, they sometimes are so lenient and they don't follow the business model. That's why the brand has some threat of diminishing quality control. That's why Jollibee likes to have a wholly owned branch to oversee the franchise. Okay. Next, let's go to joint venture. Again, let's use Bloom's taxonomy application. Remembering, define joint venture as collaboration between two firms sharing ownership and risk. Understanding, discuss local partners' advantage regarding cultural knowledge. Applying, examine how Philippine companies uses JV, example, San Miguel's Brewery joint ventures abroad. Analyze, identify roles of each partner, capital, expertise, distribution network. Evaluate, weigh the benefits of joint ventures versus FDI when entering new Asian markets. And create, draft a JV proposal for a Philippine company expanding to Malaysia. Again, this is the framework study, joint venture using Bloom's taxonomy. Now let's go to the SWOT analysis. What is the strength of a joint venture? It is shared risk and cost, local cultural insight. And what's the weakness? Possible conflicts in management, profit sharing reduces earnings. The opportunities, rapid market penetration, access to local networks. And what is the threat? Partners, instability or exit, failure due to incompatible strategies. Again, the SWOT analysis, remember that the strength is and weaknesses is within the control of the firm, but opportunities and threat is beyond the control of the firm. This affects the firm. Let's go to Philippine context. Joint ventures are common for Philippine telcos, food manufacturers, and real estate developers partnering with Asian firms. Again, joint ventures are common for Philippine telcos, meaning the telephone companies, food manufacturers, and real estate when developers are partnering with Asian firms. How Jollibee uses joint venture? Jollibee entered China through a joint venture with Yonghe King, that's the company, later acquiring full control. The joint venture gave access to local supply chains, government approvals, market knowledge, and existing consumer base. This was crucial for penetrating the competitive Chinese fast food industry. Siguro alam nyo naman kung gaano kasarap ang pagkain ng mga Chinese, and it's so very competitive, no? Maraming mga companies sa China that enters in the fast food industry. Now let's go now to franchising. Using again Bloom's taxonomy framework. Remembering, franchising as granting rights to operate under your brand. Understanding, explain how Filipino brands expand quickly through franchise networks. Applying, show how Philippine food brands use franchising abroad. Example, Potato Corner. Analyzing, evaluate franchisee selection standards. So, ano ba yung pinipili ng mga franchisee in giving the franchise to a local partner? What are the requirements? Do they have existing channels of distribution? Do they have a good knowledge of the culture, the local culture? Do they have sufficient resources? This is what we mean when they have to evaluate when the franchisees has some selection standards, okay, to give the business. Evaluating, check franchising effectiveness in highly regulated markets. Next, creating, build a franchising blueprint for a Filipino food business expansion in ASEAN. Okay, these are the framework in understanding franchising using the Bloom's taxonomy. Let's go to the SWOT analysis of franchising. What is the strength? Rapid expansion, lower cost for the parent company, shared financial burden. And what's the weakness? Less control over daily operations, dependence on franchisee performance, variability in service quality. Now, what is the opportunities? Reaching diaspora communities, scaling globally with less capital. And what is the threat? Cultural misalignment and franchise disputes. Let's apply this to the Philippine context. The Philippines has a strong franchising culture, okay? Making local companies comfortable using this brand model. So, ang dami niya, no? We have Potato Corner, Jollibee, KFC. Some of them are not company-owned but franchise-owned. Okay. How Jollibee uses franchising? In regions with strong Filipino population, such as the Middle East, Canada, and parts of the United States, Jollibee uses franchising too. It minimizes the risk, grows rapidly, leverage local partners' expertise, and expand geographically with minimal capital outlay. Franchising accounts for a major part of Jollibee's international footprint. Conclusion: how Jollibee integrates all four modes of entry. Mode of entry: how Jollibee uses it, exporting, ship sauce mixes and core integrations abroad. FDI: how Jollibee uses it, fully owned stores in the US, Vietnam, and Guam. Joint venture. China, JV, and Yonghe King for rapid penetration. Franchising. Middle East, US, and Canada to expand faster. Jollibee's success lies in its strategic combination of all four modes, depending on, number one, market maturity, risk tolerance, local regulations, capital availability, and cultural complexity. So I hope you learned something in this next lecture, and see you on the next one.